I wanted to share my experience with Tom Johnson, a wallpaper hanger with Wildfire Wallpapering here in Denver. Hired him to hang this wallpaper for me. It's a Philip Jeffries, really beautiful Japanese paper weave. It's about $4,000 worth of wallpaper. It took 2 months to make and deliver. And Tom came to hang it for me, and did not go very well. So Tom was supposed to prep the room and then hang the paper, and a lot of the problems were related to removing the wainscot, which left a gap where the wainscot came off. It was farther back than where the wallpaper was, and Tom started by putting liner down to try to smooth out what was behind it. It was like these horizontal wood beams running across, and tried that, and the result of that approach was what happened on this wall. This wall's actually not so bad. On the top where the wallpaper was, everything's fine. But when you come down here where it transitions to where the slats were, you can see quite a bit of unevenness in the wall where these ridges come out, and it's sort of, you can feel it really easy. It comes out and goes back in, comes out, goes back in. And over here as well. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And that's not so bad on this wall, because we got some doors that will kind of hide that, so I can live with it there, but not over here. Over here, that would have been way too visual, and that wouldn't work. So they tried it and started putting up paper, and it was clear that that approach was not going to work. So then they tried 2 layers of liner, but that didn't work either. Just there's too much of a gap there, and it was too uneven. Like, it needed something, to make it flat. And I'm not in construction. I don't know what the right answer was, but it wasn't that. And I'm used to getting good advice from the people who work for me. I had very, very good success getting good advice from my contractors. But in this case, things were very rushed. Tom kept telling me that, he was running out of time, that his schedule, and he needed to finish within a day or two. And so everything was like rush ahead, make decisions and rush ahead, instead of like stopping and thinking and analyzing and researching to figure out how to deal with this somewhat unique problem. So it was clear that we needed something stiff behind it, and so I was asking Tom about that, and he's like, "Oh, they sell something like that at Home Depot." I said, okay. So he comes back, from Home Depot with this wood paneling. And he called and showed it to me, and he said he thought it would work. So I don't know. I said, okay. Do you think it's going to work? Give it a shot, Tom. So this is like an MDF product. It's just a thin paneling. So Tom got some help from his family. Very nice people. No problems with that. Very, very nice people. And they came and they worked really hard, and they hung all the paneling, and when the paneling got all hung behind this wallpaper, it looked great. It was flat, smooth, and Tom was very confident that it would work. And then they started hanging paper over it, and it immediately started warping. And they told me it was the humidity from the glue, and but yet I think at that point they should have advised that we sort of stop and let it dry out and see what happens before we put more glue and more humidity in this room and let it build up and get worse and worse and worse, and then we don't know what we're going to end up with. And this is what we ended up with. This is Sunday. We've had fans in here trying to dry things out for Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and very uneven. And then I also want to point out just some of the just careful workmanship or lack thereof above my windows. This was much better done with the previous wallpaper. You did not see any of this inconsistency in the joints. Look at that. Just, not work that I am proud to show off. And then also up at the top, where the wallpaper meets the crown, there's some areas where it's nice and tight. There's other areas where it's probably hard to see on the phone, but there's gaps and it just doesn't look very carefully done. But the biggest problem by far is just all the waviness in this wallpaper. So I don't know what I'm going to do now, but probably can't take those panels down. So may have to go over this whole wall, or these two walls, with sheetrock. I don't know what that's going to do with my crown. And then go buy another probably $2,000 worth of wallpaper to replace what was already there, and bring somebody else in to hang it and fix some of the other issues in here. So if you're looking for wallpaper in Denver, Tom's a good guy, great family, nice people, but I would say make sure it's a very straightforward job. Anything that requires some analysis and careful decision making and no rushing, I would advise against using Tom Johnson for that, because this is what I ended up with, and I am not very happy.